Your resolution planning fit. ओके, मैं स्क्रीन शेयर कर सकता हूँ क्या? कर सकता हूँ. Learning the code in this current job market. This is what we're going to do, man. Shit. What this motherfucker is saying. क्यों नहीं करो भाई? करना है मेरे को.
It's almost 2 a.m. in the morning,
अच्छा.
and I'm awake this late to tell you just one thing, and that is do not learn machine learning or data science if you want to get a job in the AI field in 2025. Machine
भाई
learning will not get you a job in the AI field.
SaaS प्रोडक्ट बनाना.
And this is coming from a seasoned data scientist who has seen the industry
SaaS
inside out.
प्रोडक्ट बनाऊंगा
Trust
भाई.
me, I know what I'm saying. If you're a fresher or somebody who wants to
चल.
transition into the AI field, make sure you watch this video till the very end. I will explain you why you must not learn machine learning or data science and what you must learn instead to start a successful career in the AI field with the least amount of effort and time.
There is no such thing as least amount of effort.
Coming up is my top 5 reasons to
Oh,
not learn data science in 2025.
why ninja? Why ninja?
Oversupply of skill at the entry level.
ये बात तो
Now, there's still a lot of demand for the senior folks. There's a lot of demand for senior data scientists.
yeah.
But at the entry level, there's a saturation. Now, let's understand how this situation came around. Between 2010 and 2020,
तेरी
there was a lot of hype around data science. A lot of companies realized that they could use data and machine learning models and data science to further their business goals. But the skill wasn't around yet. So there was a skill shortage.
Okay.
This led to high paying jobs for data scientists.
Yeah.
Moreover, data scientist was adjudged as the sexiest job of 21st century.
Yeah.
This led to a lot of people trying to get into data science job. Then that led to a lot of
Oh.
tech companies and course creators creating data science and machine learning courses, which eventually led to an oversupply of people looking for data science roles at the entry level. Now, think about this scenario. Just think of any big edtech company, right? I will not take names, but right? If you search for data science course or machine learning course, you would see the top results on Google. Those are the big edtech companies. Now, any batch that they have will probably have at least 500 people. Now, when these 500 people complete their course, you have an influx of around 500 to 1,000 people in the market looking for data science jobs at the entry level. Now, this is just for one edtech company. There are so many different edtech companies doing the same thing, and they are churning out batches after batches, months after months. So you have like thousands of people coming into the job market looking for data science jobs at the entry level each month. I would say each week. But jobs don't just come like that. It's not like if you Now, my reason two is the complexity of the subject itself. Now, data science requires mastering a variety of skills. It is quite different from other software engineering roles. You'll have to learn first a programming language, which almost certainly will be Python. Now, I'm not saying that you must master Python. It's not that you need to become a Python developer. So, what you need to do is learn just enough Python to start your journey in data science. But yeah, you have to start with Python. Then comes mathematics. You will need to learn some linear algebra, some probability concepts. Python and mathematics are actually a prerequisite for learning data science. It's not the skill, it's not the machine learning or data science skill by itself. It's a prerequisite. So if you compare it with any other software engineering role, for example, a Java developer, learning the Java programming language is the primary skill of that role. But for data science, Python is just a prerequisite. It's not the data science skill by itself. After that comes statistics. So
Stat-
statistics, this is not a field for you. You will have to statistics. Only after that comes machine learning concepts. A lot of people, when they think about a data science role, they think of it starting from the machine learning concepts. But as you just heard, there are prerequisites to even reach this level. You have to first learn a programming language, you have to learn mathematics, statistics, and only then you arrive at a point where you can start building some machine learning models. Now, where to start?
मेरे कॉलेज में पढ़ाए
When it comes to machine learning algorithms, there are a plethora of them available for different use cases. There are different models and there are different kind of models. There are regression models, there are classification models, there are tree-based models, there are time series models, there are supervised, unsupervised models, there are reinforcement learning. The idea is that there's just a lot of models available for different use cases. Now, these models are not just different variations of each other or natural progression of each other. These models are actually quite different from each other with very different concepts behind them. Now, had it been 5-6 years back, this much was enough to apply for a data science role, at least most of the data science roles. But times have changed, and now you almost always need deep learning knowledge as well. Every company who's looking to hire a data would always check if you know deep learning or not. Now, deep learning has a bunch of models of their own. You will start with something like CNN, RNN, which eventually will progress to computer vision, NLP, natural language processing, and offshore is now large language models, a part of generative AI. But there are other kinds of generative AI models. You have GAN, you have diffusion models. The idea is that within deep learning as well, you have a variety of different models, different concepts. And if you thought this is enough, no. Nowadays, almost every company would also want you to have some sort of knowledge of deployment. So what they want is that you should be able to take your model to production, which basically means some sort of MLOps, at least basic. So as you can see,
कंपनी
there are a variety of different skill sets that you need to master to be called a data scientist. So things have only gone tougher and tougher. Companies nowadays prefer something like a full stack data scientist who can clean data, who can build models, and who can take the model to production end to end. A lot of things to learn and pretty complex things to learn. My reason 3 is time commitment. All this complexity and different variety of skills involved means that you'll have to spend a lot of time mastering them, even up to the level of entry level. By and large, this will require 2 years. Yes, you heard me right. 2 years. I know that there are a lot of courses around, a lot of boot camps around, promising people to take from scratch, absolutely scratch to data science within 3 months or 6 months. Now, if you hear 3 months, it's a scam. You should run away from it. Absolutely nobody can make you a data scientist in 3 months. Not possible. And I understand where they are coming from. I understand why they use such taglines as become a data scientist in 3 months or 6 months. Just imagine if I tell you that you will need to work your ass off for 2 years to become a data scientist, or if I tell you you will become a data scientist irrespective of which background you come from. Even if you come from a non-coding background, you can become a data scientist in 3 months. Which one would you prefer? Which one of these sentences will make you join a course offered by me? I'm pretty sure you would love to join a course where the promise is to take you to the goal within 3 months rather than the 2 year one. They need to sell their courses, and if it's not a paid course, if it's probably a YouTube video, they need the likes and the views, and hence it becomes important to you know oversell something. When I said 2 years, it's a very reasonable amount of time. If somebody is really brilliant and somebody is able to give 4 to 6 hours a day every day, and they're absolutely brilliant, maybe they can do it in 1 year. But at least 1 year is required. I say 2 year because I'm taking it as somebody who's an average, who's an average person, spending around 4 hours a day every day, and the person is committed. It will take 2 years to cover all the topics that I just mentioned. My reason for is that you will give up. Most of the guys who start learning data science and machine learning, they give up on you will give time. So the promise is to take you, or if I tell you, you will become a data scientist. Just imagine if I tell you that
अबे तो
you
ढाई
need to work your ass off for
5
2 years to become a data
आएगा कब
scientist,
तू?
or if I
अरे नहीं, आएगा कब तू ट्यूशन से? अबे तो शूट कब करेंगे अपन? अभी करना पड़ेगा अपन को भाई। तो 5:30 के बाद तो लाइट ही नहीं रहेगी। 5:30 के बाद लाइटिंग मतलब नेचुरल लाइट जिसमें शूट करेंगे बाहर अपन हॉल में। अबे ग्लोबल वार्मिंग चल रही रे, समझा?
tell you you will become a data scientist for 6 months, and why they use such taglines as become a data scientist in 3 months or 6 months. Just imagine if I tell you that you will need to work your ass off for 2 years to become a data scientist, or if I tell you you will become a data scientist irrespective of which background you come from. Even if you come from a non-coding background, you can become a data scientist in 3 months. Which one would you prefer? Which one of these sentences will make you join a course offered by me? I'm pretty sure you would the goal within 3 months rather than the not a paid course. If it's probably a YouTube video, they need the like, and hence it becomes important to oversell something. When I said 2 years, it's a very reasonable amount of time. If somebody is really brilliant and somebody is able to give 4 to 6 hours a day every day, and they're absolutely brilliant, maybe they can do it in 1 year. But at least 1 year is required. I say 2 year because I'm taking it as somebody who's an average, who's an average person, spending around 4 hours a day every day, and the person is committed. It will take 2 years to cover all the topic I just mentioned. My reason for is that you will give up. Most of the guys who start learning data science and machine learning, they give up on the way. The reason being, now this extended period of time where you need to constantly learn new things, master a variety of skills, it becomes very difficult to keep yourself motivated for that whole period. Now, just imagine that you are learning something every day for the next 2 years to keep yourself motivated for the entire time. If you just lapse, once in a while here and there, it's very common to just give up. And it's a very common problem among people who are pursuing data science role. Just give up. My reason 5 is that it got overshadowed by generative AI. Now, getting our entry level data science role was already difficult by around 2020 or so. Then came ChatGPT, aka LLM or aka generative AI. And the hype around generative AI is way more than that of data science, or to be honest, any technology has ever witnessed. The speed of innovation in generative AI is absolutely insane. And we need to ride this tide of hype. And hence, in 2025, instead of learning data science or traditional machine learning, learn to be a generative AI expert. But don't just take my words for it. Let me also explain you why this is the fastest and the easiest way to break into an AI career. Reason one, generative AI expert is closer to a software engineering role than data science. It focuses on API implementation rather than algorithm development. It focuses on API implementation.
Kimaka, what is GNI expert?
Rather than algorithm development. You'll be using LLMs through APIs to build generative AI apps rather than algorithm development. You'll be using LLMs through generative AI apps solving different real world use cases. Also need some back-end and front-end skill. And that's why it is closer to a software engineering role than a data science role. It is technically less demanding than a data science role, having a lower barrier to entry while still remaining cutting edge than a data science role and having a data science role. It is technically less demanding than a data science role and having a lower barrier to entry while still remaining cutting edge. You can definitely survive. In fact, you can even thrive as a generative AI expert without knowing any machine learning. If you do know machine learning already, well and good. It's a good to have skill. It will help you to some extent in the future, but it's not a mandatory skill. Now, many of the job listings for generative AI expert will mention some sort of machine learning, but let me tell you, it is a good to have thing. It's not a mandatory skill for generative AI experts. I've already made a video on full roadmap to becoming a generative AI expert. I will drop the link to that video in the comment box. Please make sure you watch that video as well. Now, my reason two is the hype cycle. Now, if you look at this hype cycle, and this hype cycle is true.
Kickboxing, close. What we tied? I get the $10 round, you got $100. One more. Back to geography for 10. What is the most spoken language in the country? Chat. There's two.
ले आई है क्यों ले आई पूमा
Turn it around. Stick a straw through it. This prevents the straw from bobbing around, keeping it in place. And while this is a trick, it is
True for any technology that has some this hype cycle.
समझ ही नहीं आ रहा है इसको कैसे समझते हैं भाई आई एम सो डम trigger picker disillusionment slope of alignment plateau productivity
And this hype cycle is true for any technology that has some excitement around it, not the kind which there's only one. So if you focus on this hype cycle, you will see a peak of inflated expectations. Then there's a trough of delusionment. Then there's a slope of enlightenment, and there is a plateau of productivity. So the plateau of productivity basically means that the technology has matured and people are using worth. Now, this also applies to generative AI, but the availability of skill always lacks this hype cycle. So the plateau of productivity basically means that the technology has matured and people are using for its worth. Now, this also applies to generative AI. So the plateau of productivity basically means that the technology has matured and people are using for its worth. Now, this also applies to generative AI, but the availability of skill.
नहीं क्यों पढ़ाई का देख रहा हूँ साला पंखा साफ कराने के लिए बोला नहीं
Always generative AI, but the availability of skill always lacks this hype. So if you draw the skills availability cycle over it, you will see that there is this gap between the hype cycle and the skills availability cycle. This gap is what we want to target. So as is a positive gap, it's good. And the bigger the gap, the easier to get the job and higher the pay. That's why we want to target this gap. In fact, if you start now, job and higher the pay. That's why we want to target this gap. In fact, if you start now, you will still be an early adopter and you will benefit immensely in the future. If AI also gets saturated for entry-level roles, you will be sitting pretty as a senior generative AI expert. My reason three is the time commitment. Becoming a generative AI expert from scratch should take something around 6 months rather than the 2 years for a data science role. You will not risk missing the bus again like you did for the data science role. You would be ready for a generative AI role in the next 6 months or so, while the hype around it is still high. My reason four is less chance of you giving up. Now, since the time commitment generative AI role is around 6 months rather than the 2 years required for a data science role, the chances of you giving up is a lot less than the data science role. You only need to keep yourself motivated for around 6 months rather than the 2 years required for a data science role. Chances that you will give up while preparing for a data science role is exponentially, not 4 times, but exponentially more than a generative AI expert role. Because every extra day you will give up rather than the 2 years required for a data science role. Chances that you will give up while preparing for a data science role is exponentially, not 4 times, but exponentially more than a generative AI expert role. Because every extra day is a lot more harder to keep yourself motivated at the same level. Look, I'm nowhere saying that you should not learn machine learning ever. What I'm saying is that first learn generative AI, get into an AI job using generative AI, and then if your interest is towards data science, add skills to your arsenal. There are some amazing GitHub repos which has for generative AI projects with code. I'll drop a link to those GitHub repos again in the description and in the comment box. Once you have mastered generative AI, start looking for a job. Right now, it's a low hanging fruit. So go and grab it first. And once you are very comfortable in generative AI, also try adding data science and machine learning skills on the side. If you already know machine learning, well and good, it will help you in the future. But spend the next 6 months learning generative AI. Now, some will say that this is a nonsensical approach. I'm actually asking you to learn something that is more specialized before even learning that is more generalized. So, generative AI, as you have seen in the whole AI landscape, is a very specialized small part of the whole AI landscape, and it's a subset of machine learning. So I'm asking you to learn this small bit first, and then learn the more generalized machine learning skill. But I would want to argue otherwise. Well, this approach is not as per books. This is very much doable, and it is the fastest and the easiest way to get into the AI field right now. Look, data science is still a very good field, and it will remain so for the foreseeable future. It's just that it's very difficult to get into it right now at the entry level. So we have to come up with some innovative ways of getting into the AI field. If data science is still your calling, go for it. Just that the most feasible route to it goes through generative AI now. It is an unconventional approach, but will work. Unconventional people make the most out of career and life. See, as a fresher, your focus should be to first get the job, and then you can worry about the approach later, whether the approach was right or wrong. In an ideal world, yes, you should follow from machine learning, then deep learning, and then within deep learning, you should go down
There's too much heat on my laptop. I will end the stream now. Bye.